John Lewis once told us, in the midst of trouble, don't get lost, he said, in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Cory Booker is optimistic. Cory Booker is hopeful. Cory Booker knows the power of love. And that's why it's great honor to present the John Robert Lewis Legacy Lifetime Achievement Award to my good friend, the distinguished gentleman from the great state of New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker.
There are some things I believe and there are some things I know. And so I just want you all to know what I know, that I was just introduced by the man that in January of 2027 will be the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And he is a friend and I love him dearly and deeply. I do want to use this chance that I have the mic after him to air the grievance that about 5 or 6 years ago, suddenly in public, people started coming up to me and saying, Hakeem Jeffries, I love you. And I'm like, I don't have hair and he barely has hair. That's the way you tell the difference. I am really grateful tonight, and I want to, if you don't mind, be a little vulnerable. As I was sitting in my seat and connecting in my mind the power of the arts that are evident today and the artists, like the incredible people who received the award before me, as I sat in my seat and I saw that the focus so much this year is on healthcare, a lot of dots connected with me, and I want to take you to a movie theater with my father in Atlanta, Georgia, where my parents lived for about 20 years during the time I was mayor, and my dad film for my father was Transformative Force. He was a young boy born to a single mother in poverty in the South, and he was sitting in a segregated balcony and he saw a film about a salesman in a place called Manhattan that looked like a foreign planet to him from the rural South. And 30 years later, he is one of the first black salesmen ever for a small tech firm called IBM in Manhattan. The seed, he would tell me, the power of the arts to transform, and he made me watch, God bless her, Nichelle Nichols on the Enterprise Bridge. He made me watch a man smack back and say, they call me Mr. Tibbs. My father sat me down as if it was an assignment to watch great film, to watch great movies, to watch great TV, to watch art, because he knew it could transform the soul, that it could soothe the pain, that it can help me be seen in a world that would not always see me. And on this day in Atlanta, as I sat in this movie theater, my world, the man who sat me on his lap before films, my world was turned upside down because my mother, who was in that theater, leaned over and said to me, you need to take your father to the bathroom. My father was struggling for years and years with this vicious thief called Parkinson's that stole from him every single day, that broke my family apart and gave me insight as a leader into the struggles of the world of healthcare that I never knew so intimately when I saw all of the injustices, from healthcare workers to the fact that most Americans, as my mom poured thousands and thousands of dollars into my father's care, that's still the number one reason for bankruptcy in America is medical costs. I saw through the lens of my mother as she got injured time and time again, lifting my father, as she dealt with struggles and challenges that are disproportionately evident in the black community, that make me ferociously angry now, as so many of the investments we successfully made in black health are being rolled back by an administration that just doesn't care. And as my mom leaned over and said, "You must take your dad to the bathroom," for the first time ever, I was taking the man to the bathroom who took me so many times. And I looked at him and he didn't seem there. He was vacant. It seemed like the dementia had completely captured him. I got him up, and his Parkinson's and his shuffling feet going out of the theater, I talked to him amply, but I knew he wasn't registering what I was saying. He seemed to be working on autopilot, and his hands were shaking, his body was shaking, and I got him into the bathroom, this movie theater bathroom, and I walked him over to the urinal, and then as his hands shaked vigorously, I realized that he couldn't even unbutton his pants. And so in a public bathroom, in a movie theater in Atlanta, I start to lean over to unbuckle his belt, and then suddenly I realize maybe I should have taken him to a stall, protect his dignity and this private moment. Maybe I made a mistake, and then I prayed, "Dear God, please don't let anybody walk in this bathroom and see me bending over another man's pants." And then, as if God heard my prayer, the bathroom door opens. And a man walks in, and he walks, and I'm looking at the floor, and in my peripheral vision, I see him go by me, and I'm sort of closing my eyes, hoping he continues to go into a stall or something, but he suddenly stops. He turns around, and what seemed like the longest pause ever, he finally broke the silence by saying, "Oh my God, Cory Booker, I'm such a big fan." And then I look up at my father, and he is beaming. Clarity. This man that loved to bring me back down to earth, this man that loved to tease me and embarrass me, was so thrilled with this moment in the bathroom. It was one of the last moments of clarity I can remember. And of all the strangest things that my father and I have done together, it is actually still one of the moments I hold on to. My father died 6 days before I became a United States Senator, and my mom, knowing my pain and my hurt, reached out to John Lewis, his incredible staff. I know Michael Collins, I love you, man. You're here tonight. And they arranged for John Lewis to have breakfast with me on the day that I'm being sworn in. And we get in this office, and he is so humble, and he doesn't let us get up and get the grits and the eggs. He sits us down and he serves us. His office looks like a civil rights museum, except he's in every picture. And he basically tells me what it means to have the fourth black person in American history be elected to the United States Senate. This unbelievable tradition in our country continues, and he saw in me such pride. By the time we left there, my mom was so animated, so emotional. She had been crying as John Lewis talked about Congress and how proud he was that this is the only time in American history this has ever happened. I'm not fact-checked this, but I'm confident this is the only time in American history. As I walk from the south end to the north end, from the House side to the Senate side, I know this is the only time in American history a man going to be sworn in as a United States Senator was lectured by their mother the entire way. Boy, don't you forget where you came from. Don't you forget the struggles that got you here. Don't you forget that the title doesn't make the man's got to make the title. Well, we did not know then when I was sworn in that a man named Trump would be elected and that he would be trying to strip health care away from millions of Americans, plunging more people further in the depths of the agonies that I saw through the lens of my own family experience. And when I needed someone to do something, my brother Hakeem talked about it. John Lewis came over and said, "We need to do something about it." I go, "What do? We got to do some good trouble, Cory." And he goes, "Don't you have this thing called Facebook?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And we opened up a Facebook Live, sat on the Capitol steps, and I watched the power of John Lewis's moral magnetism, because it was just two of us as the night began, but then 20, then 200, then hundreds of people spilling out the night to listen to this man talk about the fact that if you do not have health care, you do not enjoy the promise that should be available to every American. Because how can you have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness if you are shackled and chained to fear and insecurity and debt because of the lack of health care? How can that be justice when you do not have access to health care and worry about calling an ambulance? How can that be liberty? So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, this is such an honor not to me, but to the legacy of our ancestors. I'm sitting in that seat and I'm looking at this room around me, and I know as proud as John Lewis would be of me, he would be so proud of this room. And my dad would be so proud of this room. Michael Collins did something that to shook me so much, and I hope you talk to him about this, because he called me and I was in Newark, and he said to me, Cory, it's not going to be long before John is called home. It won't be long now. John's going to die soon, and I wanted to call some people that have a relationship with him and give them the opportunity to say goodbye. How do I do it? He said he'll put the phone next to his ear. He can't speak, but he can hear you. I can see his expressions. He'll be able to hear what you say. And he pressed the phone to John Lewis's ear, and I had no idea of how I say goodbye to this man that did so much for my life even before I was born, how this man that modeled for me what leadership is, who modeled for me what activism is, who modeled for me what love in action is. How do you say goodbye to him? And I rambled. I didn't make sense. I just tried to pour my heart out. I was getting emotional, but the very last thing I said to him was this. I said, John, I know where you're going. I know you're going to be in heaven. I know you'll be with God. I know you'll be with my dad. And I promise you that I promise you that we will make you proud. And so to all that are here tonight, you honor me, but Lord knows, we all right now need to love on each other. We all need to hold each other a little bit. We all need to dance some funk when we can. But tonight, I thank my friends, not for an award, but for this tradition, because the most important thing right now is that we tell the story of our pain and our purpose, but we tell our story of our hurt and our heroism, that we tell the story of our anguish and the activism that got us here, that we tell the story of how we made a way out of no way, tell the story about how we beat impossible odds and accomplished impossible things, tell the story of how our spirits are unbowed, how our love is unconquered, and even how our joy is invincible. Tell the story. That's the call right now. Tell the story as we wade into the water. Tell the story as we lift every voice and sing. Tell the story of how time and time again, pushed down, beat down, slapped back, we still stood up and strode forward and made it to the mountaintop. And if people can't see it, you've got to tell the story of what the promised land looks like. You got to tell it in a way that calls to the conscience of this country, because too many people are sitting down and can't see what you can see. You got to tell the story and awaken the moral imagination of a country. And if we tell that story, we manifest magic. I saw it in my dad's life. I've seen it in New Jersey. I've seen it from people in this room. We have got to manifest the magic, because we are alchemists. If you're an artist, you're an alchemist that turns the blackest, darkest coal into the most beautiful and brilliant things that are possible. Tell the story. And if we tell that story, I promise you, as dark as these days are, as much hurt as we feel, as many times as we felt shattered, I promise you, if we still have the courage to still get up every morning forth breath into your lungs and blood through your veins to stand tall and speak the truth even when they try to silence you. Tell your story, and then even if they try to erase it, if we tell that story, even if they try to mute our movement, I tell you, we will wake another up, and then another, and then another. As the light of people awakens and spreads into the night and eradicates the darkness and shines what I know is coming, a brand new day where American story is told in truth, that we are the people, that we can create a more perfect union, and that we can prove worthy of those who came before, and that they will look down on us and be proud. Thank you.